Hi, welcome to my podcast. I'm here today with Brian Ellis. I met him from my church, Taski Church of Christ. And Brian is a recovering addict. He's got 4.5 years sober, and he's also the co owner of Give Recovery, which is a sober living house for men. We're just going to chat with Brian and find out his story and how he came to be so successful today. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you for having me, Bridget. I'm Brian, grateful recovering drug addict and alcoholic. I've been sober for about 4.5 years. Sober date is actually October 11th of 2020. I'm originally from a town in southeastern Michigan, St. Clair, Michigan, just north of Detroit, for about a half hour. Grew up in a family with 3 other sisters, and my mom and dad divorced when I was a young age. Had a decent childhood, played sports, really active and in school. Never did that good, but was always, the popular kid and got along very good. But as I got older, my priorities really started to change, and I discovered partying, and I got into high school, chasing girls, and just that type of life. I always knew that I was a little bit different, but then it really started to take hold once I really got into my teenage years. Got kicked off the baseball team, kicked off the football team, even got kicked off the chess.
For what?
For drinking.
Oh my gosh.
For drinking, showing up to meets, and I wore it as a badge. I laughed about it, but as I sit here today and reflect back on that type of behavior, there was nothing funny or anything about it.
Do you think you were just trying to be cool?
Absolutely.
Or at that point were you addicted?
No, at that point, I just thought it was cool.
Okay.
And it's still, I don't know, it's just like a rebellious thing. I've always had a problem with authority, and so does my mother. And, I was always that type of person. If you told me to go touch that stove, I'd have to do it. Or don't touch that stove.
Oh.
I'd have to go do it just to make sure that I was going to get burned. So life is so challenging as is.
This is true.
And when someone tries to tell you to do things that you shouldn't do for some reason, we always have to learn the hard way. I think it's just part of growing pains. But I always knew that drugs and alcohol were bad, and it led to trouble, whether it was by cops or, parenting or just in the community, right? Didn't care though. Didn't care. It was always my way. My way, my way, my way. As we like to talk in AA, it's self-will run riot.
Right.
But I made it through school. The only thing my mom wanted me to do was graduate high school. I think I graduated. There was 258 kids in my class, and I was like number 257. So I walked across.
At least you graduated.
I did. I graduated. I did a lot of summer school too, though. And that sucks because you have to pay for summer school and you have to go, and it's during the summer. So it's awful. I think I did it for a couple of summers. So, but anyways, that's that. So I just want to fast forward a little bit. So I got hired as an iron worker right out of high school. We had a steel fabrication shop, and we also went out, hung steel. We built a lot of churches, mini malls, schools, bigger structures down in the city of Detroit and the greater metropolitan area. But that job, I was 18 at the time, and I worked with a lot of older gentlemen in their 40s and 50s, right? And there's a lot of alcoholics that worked there.
Okay.
And just to sum it up, I just became a product of my environment, right? There was a lot of days where we were drinking on the job all day. There were days where we went to lunch and drank at lunch and never came back.
Oh my goodness.
We would come back just to roll up the tools. We came back, work drunk, very unsafe. Lucky that no one ever got killed. Craziness, right? But
irresponsible,
100%.
How did you not get fired?
It's a good question. It's a good question. Well, because we produced a lot of work.
Okay.
We produced a lot of
They
work.
were satisfied with your work ethic.
They were. But the difference was a lot of these guys, they'd go home at night. They'd go home to their families, right? I was young and I wouldn't go home after work. I'd go to the bar. I'd hang out, get drunk all night. There was many days where I would just go right back to the job site and sleep in my car just so I wouldn't go home and I could get another hour or two of sleep, and I'd wake up with my boss knocking on the window to wake me up in the morning.
Oh, wow.
There was a lot of other days I'd drive right just to our shop and go to sleep right there instead of having to go home. And I would just get the worst hangovers. And the only way to really cure a hangover is time, right? Time cures everything, right? This is beyond aspirin and drinking some water in the morning. I'm talking about waking up and having another beer and just starting that insanity all over again. Right? But when it really started to get bad was when I was introduced to cocaine.
Okay.
So I knew that I could drink all night and do cocaine and just feel like Superman. Those to me kind of went hand in hand together. So, and then you would keep some for the morning, or you wouldn't even go to sleep. You'd just stay up and just repeat that.
Yeah, because it just gives you energy and you just keep going.
Right?
Yeah.
And you keep going and you would keep going and keep going. But for anybody out there that's ever done cocaine, they know it's super, super expensive, and you cannot survive just living that life cycle, right? And you can't use cocaine recreationally, right? You just start and you go until you're either broke or you're out and you can't find any more. That's just
and you just can't stop. Yeah,
you just can't stop, and it's just absolutely insane. So I ran with those two combinations for a while.
Were you in a crowd of people that were doing this, or were you doing this by yourself?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both. There was a lot of people that could just take it and do it and then be done with it. Not me. I have that addictive personality. And also in our literature, it talks about I have an allergy of the body, an obsession of the mind, and a craving that is a phenomenon that no doctors or scientists can even explain today. It'd be no different than eating, let's say, some raspberries and you would break out in hives, right? I just say every time that I drink alcohol and do cocaine, I break out in handcuffs. I go to jail.
I like that. I mean, it's sad, but
right. But what I'm talking about, the allergy, is once I drink, I can't stop. It just alerts something in my body.
And there's people that just have that first one and then there's no limits.
My hats are off to them.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I never could. It's amazing to me because I never drank to have that one, right? Like, to me, there's no point to do that. If I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink and get good and drunk, right? Because that's why I'm drinking, right? I find no pleasure in just having a glass of wine or a cold beer on the patio at night, right? I got to have 30 of them or till I black out and pass out, right?
My goodness.
Or there is so many crazy stories that I'm not even going to get into because that's not why we're here. I want to talk about the recovery aspect and how to get well. Because stories are stories. You can ask any good alcoholic or any good drug addict. They can all relate to the same thing, right? It is chaos and destruction and jail and actually close to death, right? And ruining the lives of your loved ones, right?
That's on that aspect. I see addiction as highly selfish. Highly selfish.
Spot on, right? And the good alcoholic or the great drug addict will say, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just hurting myself, which is a load of crap. You just talked about it, the selfishness, right? What about my poor mother out there that's worrying about me every single day? Where's my son at? What's he doing? Am I going to get a phone call? Is he in jail? Is he dead in a ditch somewhere? Has he gotten a car accident? Has he killed somebody else? That is the selfish nature, right? And we're really good at putting a mask on and masquerading around and saying everything is fine, right? And there's a good acronym for fine, right? It's fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional, right? So when someone says they're fine, they're really not.
They're
fine,
not.
Right?
They're not.
So I ran with that cycle for a very, very long time, and then I got introduced to opiates, Vicodin, right? Still drinking a lot, but I could wake up in the morning with a hangover and pop a couple of Vicodins, and it just instantly just kill my hangover, and I could go to work the next day and be hopped up on Vicodin, right?
Forgive my ignorance, but I'm not from America.
Okay.
So is Vicodin something you get over the counter?
No, Vicodin is a narcotic prescribed. It's like Oxycontin. It's like,
So how would you get these
yeah,
prescriptions?
buy them get them off the street.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep. Now you can get prescribed there. They're for pain, back pain, or you get hurt. It's very
Yeah.
hard to get a prescription.
It's common to hear about opioid addiction,
Yes.
but the names of it I'm
Yeah.
ignorant to.
Yeah, we're not here to promote any type of. I'm not
No.
gonna break down all the different kinds of narcotics out there.
So you were spending your money on the black market getting all of this.
I would get paid on Friday, and I'd be broke on Saturday.
Oh my gosh.
And I was making very good money at the time, very, very good money. And I would go to any length to fuel my addiction, right? I'd steal, con, manipulate, cheat, do whatever I had to do. The lowest point in my life was stealing money from my mother. It's very hard for me to forgive myself for that. My disease was doing all my thinking for me. And when you're in that state of let's say, detox and getting sick, it's like you want to jump out of your skin. You can't sleep. It's like the extreme flu, but the mental obsession going through your head is the only thing that you can think about is I need to feel better. Your dopamine is just rushing, and the cure is right in front of you. All you need to do is just take a little pill, right? Or a shot of heroin or whatever, or a hit from the pipe. And it's overwhelming, and it just takes control of you, and you will do some nasty, sadistic stuff to get your fix, to not be sick.
My goodness. So tell me, how many times did you attempt to sober up?
So that's a great question, right? So I truly believe that deep down inside every single man and woman is the moral fundamental idea of God, which is right from wrong. And even though that you're in your depth of addiction, you know that it's wrong, and you really don't want to be doing it. So it's really easy to say, I'm done with this and I'm going to quit tomorrow. And then tomorrow never comes. Or better off, you say you're going to quit when you have a pocket full of dope, right? Because you have that security sitting right next to you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'll quit tomorrow. I'll quit when this runs out. I'll quit when this runs out. I'll quit. It's always tomorrow, right? It's always, always tomorrow. And it never happens. But to get down to the heart of your question, my ex-girlfriend that I lived with back in St. Clair, I was coming home from my father's house one day. He lives up in the Thumb, in a town called Lexington, and I came home early, and I found my ex-girlfriend dead on the floor with her 18-month son jumping on her, saying, "Mommy, Mommy, get up."
Oh my! That must have been traumatic.
It was terrible. It was terrible. I had to go get my mother, and it was just, it was awful. So,
and it was an overdose.
It was an overdose of heroin that we had at the house. Yes. So after that, I'm like, okay. But you know what the crazy thing is?
What?
This is how insidious this disease truly is. So before that, I even went for any type of help, I finished the drugs in the house first, and then hid some before we called authorities. That's honest to God truth. Any good drug addict out there will tell you that's how it is. Not only do you not want to get in trouble, you don't want to. It sucks. But it's the truth, and it's what happened. My poor mother. Anyways, so the first time I really tried to get sober was in January of 2020. I was desperately I got the gift of desperation, and I finally went to my mother and said that I had a problem. I was broke, and I did not want to live like this anymore. So I called a rehab facility. It's a treatment facility in Richmond, Michigan, Memphis, Michigan. It's called Sacred Heart. So I checked into a detox facility. And I already went in there with the mindset thinking that I only want to get sober so I can use on the weekends. And let me tell you,
Like be a conditional addiction.
Yes,
A conditional addict.
You're right, absolutely. Like
if there's such a thing.
Right. When you have this disease of drug addiction or alcoholism, you can't just use on the weekends, right? It's not like, hey, Saturday night, I'm going to go to the bar and go have a few drinks. This disease is insidious, progressive, and terminal. So my mind was already made up. So I stayed there, I think for like 30 days, and I did good, and I started feeling good. I got some food in my belly. But basically all I was really doing was just fatten up for the next run out there. And I met a lot of people when I was in rehab and some connections, and all that came out of there was a crack addiction, because that's where I met my crack dealer was in rehab. So I got out of rehab 30 days and I relapsed that same day that I got out.
The very same day?
The very same day. I sure did. Yep.
That must have disappointed so many people.
Yeah, they didn't know. Of course, I lied.
Oh.
But they soon found out, right? You can only hide for so long.
Right. It always comes out. Always comes out.
Mm-hmm. And I was also addicted to Xanax, Adderall, basically anything that made me feel better than the way that I'm feeling now. So that was in January of 2020. And this was like COVID time.
When everyone's so isolated and alone and.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is So from January 2020 until October 11th of 2020, that 7-month period was absolutely out of control. So I was doing heroin every day and smoking crack every single day. I was also working full time though. I'd get out of work, go down to Detroit, get my drugs, drive back home. My windows were already spray painted black at this point. And I'd take a razor blade and scrape a little hole in the window to look outside to make sure that no one was staring at me. It was delirium. It was awful for 7 months straight. I was using by myself.
How you didn't die, I don't know. God,
right?
He had bigger plans for you.
He did, and we're going to get to that here in just a little bit. So yeah, it was absolutely insane. Every single day, get my drugs, and then I'd buy a bunch at a time and be like, I'm going to make this last all week. And I'd just do them all that night. It absolutely the craziest thing I've ever done in my entire life, that 7-month. And the insane part about it was during COVID, right? So I'd be driving down Gratiot in Detroit and it'd be like a freaking ghost town. There'd be nobody on the roads. I'm like, man, I'm going to get pinched. I'm going to go to jail. Never got pulled over, never had any problem, no nothing. It was just rinse and repeat every single day. I think I'm like 200 pounds now. I was like 105 pounds back then.
Oh, tiny.
I was skin and bones, man. I was just a junkie from Detroit. So then finally my sister caught wind, who is the co-founder of Give Recovery. And they had an intervention for me. And they found a wonderful place up in Petoskey called Harbor Hall Treatment Facility. And they convinced me to go. And it took some convincing because I was still at the point in my life where I was thinking, I can get
You got this under control. Yeah.
It's not that bad, right?
Yeah. Everyone else is over exaggerating.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing good.
Yeah, you guys don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Just leave me alone. So I came up to Petoskey, where we are sitting today, walked into rehab, and it was the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. I felt more comfortable walking the streets of Detroit at 3:00 in the morning than walking into that treatment facility. It's a really humbling experience knowing that you're a grown-ass man. I was 35 years old, and I'm going to rehab, right? It's hard to swallow the pill of walking away from your job, your house, your loved ones,
Mm-hmm.
everything.
I can imagine.
Right. Like everything that you worked so hard for to actually ask for help. But, that's like the great paradox of recovery, right? It's, you have to surrender to win.
What was your mindset going in there? Were you like, I'm gonna beat this, I'm gonna come out the best version of me, or I'm just doing this to get everyone off my back?
I think that's what I originally was. Like I'm going to do this just to appease some people. But what really happened was the difference between Harbor Hall and the other treatment facility is the people that worked there were in recovery. So, like when I walked in and my counselor had like 20 years of sobriety, that was like a tangible thing that can be achieved because I'm looking at him and he's teaching me how he got sober.
Yeah, you see how other people do it.
Right, compared to the one I went to downstate, it was just some woman with some degree telling me what I need to do. I get the fuck out of here. Who the hell are you? Who do you think you are?
And then everyone's actually been there, done that, and can relate better.
Exactly. And they could truly just not sympathize with me, but empathize with me. Like they've walked in my shoes. So that was very powerful to be able to experience that. And then it was kind of like a mini boot camp type thing, very structured, very organized, like no bullshit, like iron fisted, like this is what you have to do to get sober or you're not going to be here. So and I needed that at that time in my life. Like I needed someone with some authority to tell me exactly what I needed to do. And then they talk about in recovery, like to recover, they call it the how of the program: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And the first time in my life, I became willing to have an open mind to listen to some people, right? Recovery or sobriety is a honest inward look at one's true self, right? You really got to get down to the cause because drinking and drugging was just a symptom of what was really going on.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it was my thinking, it was my behaviors, it was my morals, it was my ethics, my values of life. I had it all skewed. It was all backwards, right? It was always like people pleasing, material things. And when
insecurities,
jealousy, like all these like really rough character defects really started to make their way to light. And I was able just to kind of like examine myself, and counselors were really good at like peeling back the layers of your life and talking to you and changing your thinking, right? They talk about you only need to change one thing in your life, and that's everything, right? And you're like, holy shit, that's a big pill to swallow. You got to change everything. Yeah, you got to change your name, but you got to change a lot of different stuff, right? So like I just started listening, and then groups started making sense, and then all of a sudden 30 days came, and 60 days came, and then like 90 days came, and it was getting
Was it getting easier at that point?
Yes. Yep. Sleep was very tough for the first few months. Because you don't know how to feel. You have all these emotions coming out. I was crying like crazy. It's so weird, like to like just
feel
like to feel something, right? But I still had these great ideas and these plans. Like, okay, I'm going to go back home and I'm going to get my job, or I'm going back to work. I got my house. I got my dog. I got all this stuff going on. And my counselor looked at me and he's like, Brian, do you like trust my opinion, or do you value my advice? I'm like, of course I do, John. He's like, well, you're not going back home.
Oh, yeah?
I'm like, what are you talking about? I got a life to get back to. He's like, Brian, if you go back home, you're going to get more pain and more misery. You're always going to get what you always got if you go back there. I'm like, holy smokes, man, this is crazy. He's like, you need to stay up here and go to sober living. I'm like, what about my house and job? He's like, sell it and get a new job. I'm like, that was like not a spiritual moment, but it was like, okay, well, it's time to actually listen to these people because he knows what he's talking about.
He's doing something right to get so long sobriety.
Right, right. And this is his job to coach these guys. So that's exactly what I did. I went into a faith-based sober living house called Walking With Him 6. Pastor Roy took me in, and man, he was hard on me, but I needed it. Started going to church and started working the 12 steps, went to the meetings. They talk about in AA about there is a solution, right? And that solution is the power of God. Whatever your concept is, it could be good, orderly direction, right? Just being honest, unselfish, love, and purity, right? Or it could be nature, right? Sitting out in meditation by the water, or doing a walk in the woods, or it also could be, which my higher power is, Jesus Christ, right? My Lord and Savior. And I don't know what happened for me to come to this juncture, but there's only been like one perfect man in this entire world, right out of the book, the Bible, and it's Jesus Christ, who bears the greatest fruits of the Spirit, right? There's all 9 of them. I'm like, well, then there it is. Like, stuff just started making sense. I started going to church. I started going to Bible study. You're a Christian.
I am.
My beautiful fiance, she's a Christian. So, and then I was in this Christian brotherhood, and like all this stuff started making sense. And once you start changing your thinking, like turning your will and your life over to the care of God, once your thinking starts changing, hopefully your actions starting to align with your thinking, right? So like you're walking with some integrity now, right?
You're finding purpose.
You're finding a purpose in life, right? It is such an unbelievable experience to be able to wake up and go to work without having to drink or drug. Like, I wake up every day, give God the first fruit of my day. Pray, thank you for waking me up. What can I do to be of maximum service for others today? Not treating people like garbage. It's just the golden rule, right? Treat people how you want to be treated. Have a positive attitude on life. Things creep up all the time, but the power of prayer with meditation is so powerful. I can get through a lot. Like, I never really understood the power of prayer until I actually put it into practice. And now it is the best tool I have in my belt. I know that I get all my strength from God. I know his wisdom. He gives me the courage to do whatever it takes, right? And as long as I'm doing the next right thing, like, God will always provide. Like, he's provided these last 5 years of my life with things that I never thought was possible, right? When I take my life and kind of look through it through like the lens of AA and Christian morals and spiritual principles, good stuff happens instead of Brian's lens, right? That's fogged up and cracked all the time, right?
Right.
It's like wearing an old pair of sunglasses, right, with a sunflower seed stuck to it or something. That's just all messed up. So, like, God is good.
Absolutely.
Anyways, so I went through sober living for about 9 months, and my sister, I moved out. It was just time to go. And then my sister and I, we just decided to partner together, and she's seen the transformation of my life.
I bet your family was really proud.
They are. And it's so nice to see, like, of course I'm doing it for me, but like to see like my parents actually like proud of me. Like, they always loved me, but like for them to see me actually like succeeding and being happy in life, and actually having like some money in my pocket is such a great feeling. I
love how involved they are. They're always visiting.
They are, yes.
Jace is always visiting.
Yeah, they're such great people, yeah. And service work too, right? Like, we're involved with Petoskey Church of Christ. That's where I met Bridget, and we're always doing stuff for the church, right? There's unity, recovery, and service work. Like, it just all goes together. Outside of Bible study, some golf with a couple of my friends, Alex, we used to go golf all the time. And if you're not in recovery, like, I just don't have time for you, right? Like, I'm done with that side of my life. I'm not saying that, I'm saying that I have healthy boundaries today.
That's good.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, if someone's toxic, I'm just not going to spend my time with them. I'm going to choose to spend, because time is the most precious thing that anybody has, right?
Yeah.
It's priceless, right? So you have 8 hours of work every day. You got to go to bed. So there's like 6 hours in there. give or take maybe 8 if you want to break it down in the thirds of the day. Of that 8 hours, what are you going to do with your time? Well, tonight I choose to come over here and spend it with you because,
and I'm so grateful.
or going for a walk with the dog, but it's definitely not going to be going to sit in some bar. I mean, I can go out and have dinner, but it just time. What I'm saying is,
it's precious. Time is precious,
right? And I'm going on 40 years old, and I don't have that much more time as I once did. So I want to spend my time wisely, right? I want to do stuff that makes me happy, and happiness comes from happening, which means you got to change some stuff in your life.
Definitely, definitely.
So my sister and I, we just decided to just had this idea of starting a faith-based sober living house right here in Petoskey, because like I was saying, she's seen the transformation in my life that I was able to transform because of the information I've gotten it and applying it to my life. So we got a house and we did some renovations to it. And my sister and her husband, Neil, they came up with the name of Give Recovery.
I love the name.
Right. And
it's so fitting.
It is, because it can mean so much. Right?
Yeah.
Like whatever you choose to give, right?
But also recovery doesn't necessarily limit you to alcohol and addiction.
It doesn't. So Give Recovery was founded by my sister Jessica, her husband and Neil, myself, and 2 of our very good close friends, Tyler Lowley and Ashley Cervantes, who's also part of our leadership team. We were down in a church basement just shooting ideas together about what the values and ethics and principles of the program were going to look like. And with a collective thought process, with brainstorming, we came up with it, and it just happened. We were we got a perfect house right in a wonderful neighborhood. We housed 10 guys. My stepfather, Rich Boucher, came up and redid it. And it is really amazing. The guys that have come through, the guys that we helped, served, gave them a foundation in the community. They're required to go to a certain amount of AA meetings a week, work with a sponsor, church.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to ask you. I don't know a sober living setup. What is it?
Yeah, so it is like when the guys get out of treatment, it's like the next step, right? It's a low living cost. It's a place where they can come around like-minded people, kind of form like a brotherhood, because they're working all for the same goals, right? Rebuilding their life, small, retainable, short-term goals, right?
And maintaining sobriety.
Of course. But they're able to go to meetings together, right? Basically, we're just giving them like a small platform of like what life should look like, right? Recovery isn't just something that just happens. It needs to, it turns into a lifestyle, right? Like you just don't work the 12 steps and then you're cured, right? This disease is incurable. It's treatable. That's the best thing, right? And our treatment is continuing going to meetings, working with others, service work, and just staying around like-minded people. Once you work through the 12 steps with the sponsor, and then your next step is to pass it on, right? That's the beauty of AA. You have to give it on, or you have to give it away, right? When you're working with someone else, you may be helping them, but the whole point is you're helping yourself. So you can never really get discouraged when someone stumbles or slips. It's hopefully they pick themselves back up, but the most important thing is you're helping yourself. So, we've been open and functioning for going on 2 years now. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And we have seen a lot of transformations, and hopefully when the guys leave Give Recovery, and they go on to their next chapter of their life, they now have the spiritual tools that can propel them into the next chapter of their life, whatever that may look like, whether it's finding a church, finding a home group of AA in their new living area, whether it's a different city or town. But that's the beautiful thing about Christian churches or any church and AA. It is worldwide, and it's there's a lot of people out there that want to help and need the help.
Yeah. So I've been to a few functions that Give Recovery and also functions that Give Recovery has hosted. How about you tell us about the social aspect where you get everyone together?
Yeah, so we're a proud organization which is family oriented, right? So we love to give back to the guys as much as we can. Give Recovery, right? Give back to the guys and put on events. You know, every just like a few times of the year. We're actually doing something this weekend, which we talked about. We're taking the guys bowling, maybe some laser tag, and just some good jokes and some laughs. We have a fundraiser once a year down at Petoskey Church of Christ, where a lot of people come out in the community.
Oh, I love the fundraiser.
Really
I've been twice now. Yes. I love it.
We always do something for Easter. We do something for the 4th of July. We do something for Thanksgiving and Christmas, right?
So it's really like a family environment.
Absolutely. And the principles that
brotherhood.
And the principles that are in the house, it's so great because the guys that are in the house, that core group of guys, makes that house run, that nucleus makes it run like a well-oiled machine. And when the new guy comes in, he kind of gets thrown into that, and it's like, okay, so like he's getting molded of what our I don't like the word expectations, but that's what it is, of what needs to happen in order to transform
smoothly,
or to run smoothly, right? And
so are there criterias to get into the house? Do you have to check this, and this to be able to get in, or do you accept anyone that applies and then they follow your rules?
So that is a good question. So of course anyone can apply, but one thing that I like to do is I like to get to know the guys a little bit. So like Harbor Hall, they have their inpatient treatment, and then also they have their own transitional house. So when a guy applies, I'll say, hey, come on out to Bible study and have a meeting with me. And then like I like to see him out in the community. What I don't like is when someone calls me on Friday night and asks me if I have available bed because they're leaving the next day. That's just going to be a no. I don't operate like that. I have a strict vetting process. Not saying that's a bad person, but I like the willingness, right?
Well, you have to have someone that gels in the family community. You don't want someone to stand out and kind of destroy what you're building.
Right. And I'm like, everyone deserves a chance. Everyone deserves a second chance, right? You can never give up. So, but I like willingness. If you want to come to Give Recovery, it's a small organization with only 10 beds. There's other sober living houses with 20, 30, 40, 50 beds in them, right? So we are very particular about who we let in our house, right? I'm not going to allow any type of destruction, distraction, or division inside the house, right?
Absolutely.
That is going to ruin what we have, which is going on, right? It even says in the book of Galatians, a little bit of yeast will spread through the entire loaf, right? Which is, it's like one bad apple can ruin the whole batch.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So we're pretty good at weaning that out.
You need unity.
You need unity, right? Those guys are so great. Yeah, God bless their hearts. I don't know what I would do without them, because on top of it all, it actually gives me another piece of accountability in my life. I know I need that.
Yeah.
I like my service work. It's volunteer based. So me, Tyler, Ashley, we just do it because we love helping people, and more importantly,
because you're dedicated to the cause.
Yes, absolutely. And it gives us a purpose, right?
Yeah.
Our purpose today is to help other alcoholics or drug addicts achieve hopefully sobriety for a lifetime, and hopefully establish a relationship with God, right? Because I want to say my ultimate goal, there's no end game, but would be to die sober and go to heaven. I know I'm saved. I
like that.
Jesus Christ in my life. So if that would be the way to go, that's what I got, Bridget.
So if someone wanted to reach out for Give Recovery to either apply, donate, help with a function, absolutely anything. We're talking about the addicts or donations or that. How would they reach you guys? Where would they go?
So we have a website. It's at www.give-recovery.org. You can read all about us on there. It has phone numbers. We are an LLC. We are not a 501c nonprofit, but if you would like a donation, we'd have to go through Petoskey Church of Christ. But also, like if someone wanted just to donate to Give Recovery, of course. But we are LLC, just a business, so we can't go around fundraising. That's why we do our fundraisers with our partners, Petoskey Church of Christ.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Absolutely.
That makes sense now.
Yep. So they've been a fantastic partner. Give Recovery would not be what it is without Petoskey Church of Christ. And I know Petoskey Church of Christ would probably feel the same about Give Recovery, as we partner and do a lot together. But yes, www.give-recovery.org. My phone number is on there. My sister Jessica's phone number is on there. You can reach out anytime. And that's how a lot of people can apply for the organization too. You can fill an application right out online. It gets emailed to my sister. Her email's on there, or also comes right to me, and that's how we review them. Or also, we have old school paperback applications at a lot of the treatment facilities too. So any type of information that anyone may need will be on our website, and we look forward to hearing from everybody.
Well, before we finish off, is there any advice you want to give someone watching this, whether they're sober or they're struggling with addiction and they don't know where to go? Anyone, any good advice you have?
I would say never give up.
I like that.
Never give up. And if you truly have that spiritual malady that's in your heart, that AKA soul sickness, it can be overcome. There is a solution out there for you. I am here willing to help. There are many people out there willing to help. That's all you have to do is ask. You have to humble yourself enough to ask. I know it took me to put my shovel down and stop digging to actually reach out for help. But thank God I did, because there are people out there, and we are there for you. Never stop trying to get sober if that's what you want, but it has to be a willingness. It has to come within. You can't get sober because of your wife. You can't get sober because of the courts are telling you to. You can't get sober for your kids. You have to get sober for yourself so you can be a better person in society. God did not create us to be drug addicts and alcoholics. Drugs and alcohol, I truly believe that they are the devil.
I agree.
It is a false sense of reality. It's not who we are. It changes us in every negative way. We are all children of God, and God created us to be ourselves. And when we drink or drug, it changes us, and we're not ourselves. And it's terrible. It's poison.
It is.
It's awful.
Well, thank you so very much for coming and just sharing your life and being so open and honest.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are ashamed of their journeys and that. So
they are. I love to recover out loud. I am an open book. I'll tell anybody that they want to know, right? But I do know that recovery is possible with God. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible with God.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bridget.